Welcome, everybody. Welcome to your weekly wisdom with Rukmani. It's so good to be here with you all again. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your love. What an amazing community we have that is not just in regards to the podcast, but the community that is building, energetically speaking, as we come together and we share our own, in a way, products, if we want to call it that. That sounds so funky. Services or offerings to the world. We're doing something so beautiful. So I really want to take this time to honor you before we go into the actual topic of this weekly wisdom, because it is so valuable to really receive this feedback in a way that you're actually doing a really good job. Because this journey, as it is, the hero's journey, it's challenging for sure. At times it's very, very challenging, and it's very good to have that support in the way of like somebody saying you're doing a good job, even though I know at times it could be very challenging and you want to give up or whatever comes up. It's like we're doing this, and that's awesome. I like to say it's so dope. It's so dope what we're doing. So continue with that, keep it up, and let's continue rising. This is why I say together we rise higher, because it's true. If we fight each other, then we're just creating more separation, which we have enough separation in our planet. But the more that we hold each other, we support each other, and however it is that it comes through for you and for others, and wow, would you imagine the difference in the planet, right? If we all did that for each other, if we all did that for each other. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. And at the same time, just thank you for existing. Just thank you for existing, because that makes a really big difference. Let me tell you, really big difference. Okay. So today's episode is about being seen. And I know that there might be so many things that come up for so many of you. It definitely, so many things came up for me, because being seen was something very challenging for me. Being seen by myself and being seen by others, that thing about just being in the shell because it's so comfy and it's so warm. And at times it's like, okay, this is very comfy, I'm just gonna stay here because that's cool. If I get out of my shell, it's gonna be like, ooh, this is uncomfortable. Remembering though that growth doesn't happen when we are comfy. Growth happens in the uncomfortable, and it's for a reason that is happening, right? So this part of being seen, let's talk about first and foremost what happens energetically. Okay, when that impulsive you is like, ooh, I really want to, I feel like I want to be seen, I'm myself. I want to look at myself in the mirror and just see beauty, see life itself. And I want to be comfortable in my skin. Then when I'm speaking in public, I don't feel like I want to hide, or when I really be seen by my partner or by my family without coming off too strong, and just being that a beautiful being that I am, right? Embodying that. So what happens here is that something in you, this is what I like to call the soul, or the center of you, the nucleus of you is really just trying to come through, and is sending signals to you like, hey, you're ready. Let's look at this aspect of yourself. Like, and you can see it as little like shooting little energetic cords, but not the cords that like suck the life force energy out of you, but the cords that like, it's like, oh, okay, I got a spark of like energy. Oh, wow, that feels really good, almost like a praise, when somebody tells you all these beautiful things, if you're very comfortable in yourself, you're like, oh, thank you. If you are not comfortable in yourself, it's like, oh, okay. So you see the difference in those two, but like the part of you, the soul energy, the divine part of you, is sending a signal through an energetic cord that says you're ready to see this part of yourself, because everything in you is really just wanting to be loved and accepted and play with you, right? Playfulness. Sometimes we forget about that, just like a child, it's like, hey, can we do all these things? Let's have fun with life. So that part of you is like, okay, we're ready. We're ready. Can we send her or him a signal? Okay. And it sends a signal. And it's like, oh, Okay, so now here it goes, you know, the signal gets sent, and there's this part, the threshold, if you will. There's a threshold where that is when a layer of you is preparing itself to exit, to leave you, you know, to shed off you. And here, the thing is to be very cautious of what you allow your mind to tell you what's happening. Because a lot of time, if you have been in the space of just allowing your mind to say that you're not good enough and you can't do this, you know, you can actually activate it even more, and then not allow this threshold to open up, you know, or to like dissolve. So then the energy comes through you and then you can see yourself in a better way. So here is just like approaching that with curiosity. Remember that anything that comes up to the surface is because you're ready. You're ready for a deeper commitment to yourself. You're ready to see these things. Otherwise, it wouldn't happen. And also, it happens because you have been asking for this, whether you are conscious of that or not. That part of you says, like, this organism, like you, this organism is ready to access this part of its own consciousness, the part of the personal consciousness, and then going into the actual consciousness itself. So this is what's happening, you know. So when it comes into this threshold, that is like it's pushing out, you know, and up, if you will, that part of you, the layer, the one that keeps you feeling safe. Because if you want to think about, you know, this part of us not being seen or wanting, here's a tricky thing or the funny thing, wanting to be seen yet hiding, because this is really what it is. Our souls are always wanting to be seen in the way of like, I spread my light to you, and then you spread your light to everybody else, and it becomes a domino effect. It's not to be like, hey, look at me, I have all these things and I'm better than you. It's not really like that. So the aspect of you, the divine light, is it really wants to be seen, but first not by you, but not by others, excuse me, but by you. So of course, you know, it really wants to be seen. It wants to come out to the surface. But then when things are coming up, you know, the hiding aspect comes out really strongly. So really accessing this point as a curiosity. So why am I feeling like I want to hide again? And remembering it's like, oh, something is coming up, which means I'm ready to let go. See the difference then when it's saying like, oh, I want to hide. I'm just gonna go hide, okay? So there's a really big difference in the energy even when we talk about it. So this is what is happening, you know? So when you surrender to that, and this does not take away from feeling really uncomfortable for perhaps anger coming out or anxiety or whatever it is, you know, those are very valid emotions, because those are emotions that have been within your system in that layer that is actually like coming out to the surface, and you must feel it. Because it's, if you were to see yourself as like the center of your being sending the signals, right? If you want to say at the bottom, and it's sending upwards the signals, it's going to come through every single layer of you until it releases, right? So surfacing up all those emotions that you felt whenever you hid, or whatever actually happened in your childhood and or other lifetimes as well, that guided you into the space of hiding. So all those emotions will come up as well. So you will relive them in order for them to let go, for you to let them go. That doesn't mean that you have to be stuck in that energy. If you are aware that that's actually happening, it happens more gently. You know, you have the choice right there to be like going super deep with those emotions in the way that you get lost in them, or just knowing that they're passing through. And so like that means also, of course, you feel them, but then you don't get immersed, or you don't get what's this word, you don't drown by them. There you go, you don't drown by them. So you let them pass, you feel them, whatever is uncomfortable. Thank you for being here. This is such a key element, gratitude. Thank you for this uncomfortable feelings. Thank you for all this rising up, because I am ready to see a different part of myself that perhaps I haven't seen before, or that I'm welcoming back. rather than, it's like, oh, uncomfortable, I'm freaking out, and like, I don't know, and just really going deep and becoming the emotion that you're not the emotion. So there's a difference, becoming the emotion or feeling it, letting it pass through and shedding that layer. Okay. So now here becomes your power. You become more attuned with who you are. When you're more aware of that difference, the difference of letting the energy pass through, the emotions passing through, a communication that is exiting your system, that does no longer vibrate at the same level that you are at the moment, or just drowning, and feel the heaviness of that word, drowning, and then becoming the emotion that you are not. And so you become the emotion, and of course it's going to feel more heavy, especially if it's like anger or anxiety, even depression. It's going to feel very heavy, especially if you had been carrying that for so long. And the thing is that perhaps some releases will take a longer time, because that period of passing through the emotions really depends on the depth where they were stored in your system. And so if they were stored for a really long time, then it will feel a little bit more intense. Doesn't need to, or it's not always the case. For example, when I was releasing my depression, it happened in different stages. And the last time that it happened, I didn't really know how to deal with those emotions because they were not mine, but I had believed for so long they were mine. And I asked for help. I asked one of my dear sisters that is a psychotherapist to guide me through that, because I had no idea what to do with all of this. Because again, I thought it was me. I thought I was releasing my depression, and coming to find out that it wasn't. I had just accessed a point during the depression where I felt every single energies that had ever been depressed, and in Dante's Divine Comedy, this is a really amazing book, by the way. I haven't read it in English. That's a lie, actually. There was a translation in English, but I speak Italian. So when I took the course at UNLV, it was in my Italian studies. So I'm sure the English translation, if you find one, is very good. But point of this, because it's a really good book, by the way, the point of this is that when it comes to the point where Dante, which is the protagonist and also the writer, when he is in the rings of hell, there's many people, and this thing that is kind of like lava, like burning and screaming. And so whatever he described for me was very real. Like I had access at that point, the very bottom ring of hell, through my depression or through any other things that I had been carrying that somebody else in my lineage had felt. And of course, being that we're not separated, us as human species. And so I had access that again, but my system had recognized that it wasn't me. So that's why there was like this thing of like, I'm not even sure how to get out of here, because I was stuck. I couldn't see, and really with all the abilities that I have, for me, it's very easy to go into shadow work. And that's exactly what I do with others, because I'm very good at it, at accessing my own shadows and guiding somebody into their own shadows. But even with that, I had to recognize and say, don't even know. I don't even know what's going on. Where's my sister? And she guided me through that process. So it's very important to recognize when your own abilities really can help you thrive through all of that, or when you really need somebody else's assistance, because there's many of us that have different gifts. Many of us have different gifts, or perhaps very similar gifts, but we do things a little bit different. See, and so like recognizing and not allowing the ego to tell you don't need help, because that is the ego talking. The soul itself, the actual personal consciousness can humbly say, I need help. I need help. I can't do this alone by myself anymore. Or maybe I can just reach this level right now, and then somebody else can guide me through that. And then I can learn through that process how to do it for myself. See? So that's different. And again, feel the difference. And this is really important. Feel the difference, energetically speaking, when I'm saying I don't need help. I don't need help. I got this. I got this. And then the other part saying, I need help. I'm not sure how to go through this. This is so much pure. It really comes from the heart saying, like, this is my truth. This is my truth. I'm not sure how to move through this space, but then somebody else can do it. And then in the process, again, you learn more about yourself and how you can access different things, you know? And so that's the important aspect too, the knowing in a way your own limits, right? If you're very good at pushing yourself, then you can do it absolutely. If you just need that support because this is something so new to you, or even with my case, something that it was not new to me, but it was disconcerting, you know, because I was just like, well, actually concerning, right? That would be the word. It was definitely, I was like, oh, well, I'm not sure why I cannot access this point when normally so easy. And then, you know, surrendering to the experience, know that it will really pass. Again, everything in life it's in constant change. Everything in life is in constant change. So that fear or whatever emotion rises up the moment that you're being seen, you know, it's like it's going to pass if you give it permission, if you allow it to just teach you. Everything in you has a teaching. And this is how I guide others through it too, because it's true. Everything has its own communication. Your emotions are communicating something from your system, and something that is like, pay attention, or like, dude, this does not feel good with me. This is not aligned. And so then when you really pay attention to those subtle communications of your system, that is really easy. It's easier, okay? It's easier to maneuver through it. And again, it's just a practice. You learn to do these things. If you have been doing this for lifetimes upon lifetimes, that is a remembrance, and it just becomes like second nature. Like, I've done this before, I got this, you know? But again, knowing your limits and knowing if you need that assistance, when you need the assistance, or if you do not need the assistance, right? And now here comes the point where, you know, are you ready to commit to that? Are you ready to let yourself be seen? And this is really a beautiful inquiry, right? Like I said, your being itself wants to be celebrated, wants to be seen by its family, by its community, to share its gifts. So what is actually in between that and you? Why do you feel that you're not allowing yourself to be seen? What is the blockage? What's the story in the mind that comes through that has been playing for so long like a broken record and hasn't allowed you to shine even stronger? Because that's what happens, you know, it's this like broken record that goes on and on and on and on, and we believe it, and we believe it. But if your soul is communicating something, you know, is really sending those signals with the pure unconditional love of your soul, is allowing those things to just go up to the surface until they explode. So at times, this is the reason why there's so much emotion. You know, it's like we're talking about being seen, right? So like if like you're just hiding, or once in a while you allow yourself to be seen or speak in public, and sometimes one of the times you can feel like you're having a panic attack is because all these things, that all the unconditional love that is pushing these things out to the surface is just creating more tension because you're not allowing them to come out. So as the unconditional love pushes upwards or out of your system, you're pushing them in. So this is what creates the tension. This is what creates the friction through which you feel that anxiety or that depression or the anger, perhaps. And so here's a question, you know, so what story is playing nonstop in your head that has allowed you to believe that you're not worthy of being seen? Because you have your specific medicine, just like we all do. And that medicine is meant to be spread out because it's not for us to keep, because it's not ours. It's not ours as in like for the only for the person, you know? It's ours as in like all humanity, all existence. This is why most of us like workers share our gifts, because we know inside of us it's not ours, it's not mine, it's ours. So it's not meant to be kept inwards. That would be selfish. It's for all of us to share this, to pass this through, and continue to hold each other through this process, whether we know each other personally or not. So now, as you begin to write down this inquiry, just give yourself the space, to feel these emotions. And again, I'm not telling you what to do. This is if it feels in resonance with you, if it feels aligned, that you're willing to go in through this. And, if you would like to add something, just like a little sprinkle of more power, begin to do a gazing meditation in the mirror. I know, for example, for me, when I was first told about this years ago, when I was like super anorexic and bulimic, I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. I was like, I don't know. I think I didn't even last a second. And I was like, forget it, I can't, because it's too much. And it was too much, at the moment. It wasn't the moment for me to do it, because I wasn't in this space. I probably needed somebody holding my hand, and not even that wasn't even going to change the fact that I couldn't look at myself in the mirror, because I hated myself. That was it. I hated myself. So now when I do it, when I look at myself in the mirror, I'm just seeing pure divine love. And I'm telling myself how beautiful I am, how powerful I am, how sexy I am. You see, like, there's nothing about like, oh, you're better than everybody else. It's like just loving yourself and honoring yourself and honoring your body. What an amazing job your body does for you to have this experience. And at times we take it for granted. And it's worthy of being seen. And it's also worthy of you to see yourself through it, because you're not just your physical body. See? So the physical body is ready to be seen, to be explored, to be celebrated. And you're ready to see the observer that is behind the physical body. Yes. What a beautiful topic, honestly. I absolutely love this topic, because again, for me, it was very difficult to go back into being seen. But I have a different way of doing things. I just push myself and I throw myself into the fire. And I like it when people throw me into the fire too, because I embrace growth and I love it, For other people, it has to be a little slower, and that's okay. It doesn't mean that you have to throw yourself into the fire if you feel that that's not going to help you, because it might actually unhelp you, create more traumas. We don't want that. So little by little, okay? Baby steps by baby steps. We don't need to jump from one part to the other one and miss the entire journey. Trust me, I've done that too. So inquiry about that question, see if you're ready to commit for that. Just see what comes up, with curiosity, out of unconditional love, not because you want to change yourself. It's really because you are ready to love yourself even more. You see again the difference? It's not to change you, it's to love yourself. Wow, what a change of vibrations, as I said those two words, It's not to change you, it's to love yourself. Through that love, many portals open up, many opportunities opened up. And then you go back to you. And you express yourself in a divine way that comes through you. Life force energy expresses itself uniquely through you. What a beautiful gift that you're giving all of us. All of us. I love you all so, so much. Enjoy holidays if you celebrate that. If not, just continue to enjoy your life and yourself. And thank you for being here. If you're looking for any assistance, I'm here for you, okay? I love you. Ciao, please.